Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nakul Sardana. Uh, um, Fortunately, I'm the trainer for the day, and wonderful meeting you all. I get to see that there are participants who were even present in yesterday's training. This is in continuation to what we discussed or what I presented yesterday. Uh, we were discussing on the lines of landfill operations, and which started from development of landfill and how to operate it. Every infrastructure project even has a life cycle, and in a given span of time, it reaches to its final end usage and what really needs to be done. Uh, in such projects, when we talk about landfill, we see that if we operate it with a given SOP and keep maintaining it and follow the standard procedure, uh, the one of the added advantage for that is that we can enhance the overall life of the landfill, as in terms that you can dump more tonnage of waste in it. As we all know that in India's real estate, land is one of the most costlier component in overall value chain of waste management processing. So it is advisable that being very diligent and sensitive when it comes to land matters, and if you are able to operate a landfill for additional 1 year or 2 years, that has a larger impact on overall economy. Uh, and As the urbanization is growing, especially in the tier one city, metro cities, we do get to see the land crisis as well. So now we will talk about why I'm emphasizing on land is that the topic of today's discussion is to reclaim the land, reclamation of landfill. So, and we even call it a uh, bioremediation, reclamation, closure of landfill. It consists of three major components. Uh, as we get to see today's synopsis, I'll leave the slide for you guys to read it through. But I would like to go beyond what it is written on the slide. One component of landfill is that you have been operating a landfill for say around 25 years or 30 years, whatever the life has been decided, and whatever life it could serve to you. And it has come to a stage that now, as per the scientific design height and buffer height, you have been able to fill up the landfill. Now you need to close it, and then you cannot keep it open like a mountain or a heap of waste garbage. Uh, so that's where the closure of the landfill, the proper capping comes in picture, and thereafter we talk about if that's not happening or if that has we have achieved that milestone, what really needs to be done? Is there any way to reclaim the land? And what this thought process starts, that we all know that most of the waste which is biodegradable that gets decomposed in a time span. So now I would ask my teammates to go one by one with the slides for what we are talking. As we are discussing all of this under Climate Smart City Assessment Framework 2.0, which covers green energy building, urban planning, mobility, water management, waste management, and waste management is one of the part of it. What all it covers, it has the way forward to build a climate action plan. We really need to be, well focused when it comes to waste management. And with waste management, it's waste to energy, processing, and disposal of waste. When it comes to scientific disposal, we talk about landfill, its operations, maintenance, closure, post-closure maintenance, and remediation. The way forward, how the waste management, how this is being part of and how the cycle looks like is we assess baseline assessment of the existing landfill in terms of topography. We conduct such topographical surveys, geotechnical investigations, and so on. Closure, as I discussed, that we need to cap it, close it using the standard procedure, having different layers on the top of it, and can even develop for as a green park or a green area while the closure is being done. And We do even talk about the scientific management of landfills in terms of preparing the DPR for the bioremediation and different other remediation methods to be involved and such initiatives to be taken from the municipal corporation. And a typical section of a landfill, how it looks like, we discussed this yesterday as well. So the participants who were there yesterday can connect what we are discussing today. Is there is a groundwater, then different layers, the waste being filled in it, final cover. You even see that grass cover on the top of it, leachate collection system, is the gas order control or gas collection system being incorporated in the scientific landfill that you even get to see there in that picture. On the right hand side, if you talk about what is the major component being available in the landfill is that you have a landfill, you start excavating it, it has reached to its final limit. Now the land is to be reclaimed, then you excavate it, uh, you load it, how much excavation you are doing really, because just to keep the records and need to find out what is the percentage of remediation has been done. Then passing this particular waste which has been degraded in a given span of time. So what do we get out of it? There are three major components which comes out of a biodegradable waste and non-combustible waste and inert waste. Biodegradable waste goes to the compost pad, one concrete structure, a pad, where it is being left for a cycle of 28 days. It finally gets converted into final city compost, can be used as a soil enhancer, enricher. Combustible, you when it passes through the sieve, then you recover that 50 plus of material, which again goes for the shredding purpose. Shedding is defining this. This can be from 50 to 200 Then you need to give it a one dedicated size to it, defined size to it, which ranges from 15 to 25 The material which comes out is called as a refuse dry fuel (RDF), which goes to the cement factory waste to energy power plants, and it has a calorific value varying from 3100 to 4200. Inert goes directly to C&D waste management plant and can even be used for the road filling of the low-lying areas, and so on. So I have sort of given that detail on the last slide because so as to make you understand the process in the very beginning. This few things will be keep repeating or will be the part of some slide or the other. So that was the idea. Uh, Current and resource recovery potential of the landfill. When we talk about resource recovery, we get three major components. One is organic fraction, which can be used for the compost, city compost. And in any way that percentage of compost we get from the fresh waste is less than what we get while bioremediation. Second recovery is we get, as we know that plastic doesn't get degraded. We mostly get the paper is a very small number. It can only be the fresh waste, which is on the top layer of the landfill. Otherwise, we get LDP, HDP, PET, tertiary plastic, and all those things, right? Jute and even the cloth can be recovered, which is again a form of RDF, combustible form of it. Uh, Having said that, this doesn't have a very easy direct resale value in the market, but can be used as a secondary fuel to any existing power plants. And third is we get the C&D waste, which we can treat and you can get it to fill the landfill areas. Now, as per the slide, we need to characterize as per the physical properties while doing the landfill mining and reclamation. We need to assess on the resource recovery potential of the landfill by doing the surveys, considering its lifespan extension, and even we can work on in a methodology where we send less waste to that can only be possible when we start mitigating the waste when we have city MRF, other bio plant to treat that waste, and it finally leads to reduction in the greenhouse gases. Lavanya, would you mind changing the slide? Thank you. So now the remediation technologies which are available. Primarily, remediation technology it varies from non-technical to high technology depending on the geography, fund availability, and so on. Um, in most of the cases, what we see is we cap it. We use the closure mechanisms with. We cap it through different materials. The layers could sound like a geotextile membrane, then HDP liner, then which we even call the plastic liner, and having a drainage layer on the top of it, the compacted clay, and the vegetation layer. Otherwise, if you look at it in terms of the contaminator stabilization, removal, and destruction, we have numerous way to biological treatment, physical and chemical thermal methods to treat the landfills. Uh, while I talk about the biological process, those are bit these processes are expensive, complex, and has a flavor of the emerging technologies. Or having said that, it is advisable to use the biological process while treating any or reclaiming any landfill because they uh, while you add them in any of the existing landfill, they faster the rate of the biodegradation of existing waste. So if you are dealing with, let's suppose, 100 ton of waste, if you use those chemicals, you ending up will be dealing with maybe 95 ton of waste. 5% of this waste for biodegradable component has been already degraded, has been reduced in size. Yeah. So the approach for the landfill recovery, the quantity of the waste to be assessed, uh, understanding where the lowest ground level lies, garbage layer ranking, as in how the landfill has been filled up in different layers. Coarse material and garbage are screened. The sieve we use, we call it trommel. Uh, Land recovered from this waste, CND waste which has come out of it, recovered soil to be used for refilling the ground, which comes out of landfill remediation as it becomes a most of a soil sort of a material. We don't call it a soil directly, but we call it the fine and a coarse mix of a coarse aggregate. Post screening, the good waste goes to the different cement factories, power plants, uh, furnaces, and this finally it leads to the deployment. This can only be achieved by the respective machine and tool deployment, and if we regularly monitor. These projects are not of long age, varies from 6 months to 24 months. Site planning and preparation. We need to understand the local geography and find out the site location, depth and volume of the way, as we said, disposal, what process we will adopt, disposal type, whatever the derivatives are, operational time frame we need to define, a local landscape, it has to be understood as in will this sort of an activity will create some social impact or environmental impact. Areas surrounding land to have a better working space, quality of groundwater to be monitored during this time, but this process doesn't affect the groundwater monitoring. Depth of grounds and all that data is to be readily available before designing the project. A typical section of a landfill recovery project, which we see into an ecological park, it's a what we see is a typical section, soft rock, weather rocks need not to be everywhere, but whether soil, it started lower multiple layer soil, sand quality gravel, upper multiple layers, silt quality sand, and so on, leachate level waste layers. So this is a typical section when we see of a landfill site. And on the top, you get to see top layer, vegetation layer, desert layer, is what we discussed. We can move to the next slide. Uh, this is a gas collection system diagram. I'll explain it. So from the landfill, gas comes to the landfill gas. It comes to different trenches from where we collect it and liquid knockout trap, where we collect the gas, store it. Carbon horizontal compressor, we compress the gas at a given bar pressure. From it passes through the condenser, it is being cooled, and then it goes to the either it goes for the flaring purpose or it goes for the industrial use purpose, which we can either use it as a bio CNG directly as a CNG application, LPG application, or otherwise using the gas generator, we can convert that into electricity, and balance of heat can be captured by CHP. Closure of landfill, as a lot of data is available on this web slide, you guys can can while going through the content can have a detailed read of it. Uh, but mostly the closure is depend. The way we approach it is compact as much as you can. Uh, as you all know, the waste processing by the waste whatever you left off should get to the landfill. We should have a coverage, a final cover of 50 to 65 centimeter thick. Should be designed in a way that it controls the infiltration and prevent it from the erosion. And then on the top of this, we have a soil barrier with a vegetation layer it. And I'm sure that most of you have seen the closed landfills where we see a sort of a green park on top of those waste sites. Those said to be as a treated to be as a treated landfill, closed landfill. What is a post landfill closure? What are the post care to be taken of? This requires a regular monitoring, first of all. That we have closed landfill now, we don't get to see anything with our naked eyes. But if something happening within the landfill area, if we are closing it, uh, first of all, while the closure, we need to follow a standard practice as per the technical norms and maintaining the final cover, making repairs, preventing the runoff of and run on and runoff of erosions, controlling that, which may affect the final cover and subsequently can affect the lower layers too. Monitoring the leachate collection system, monitoring the groundwater around the landfill area, natural habitat that affecting the biodiversity after closure, gas collection system which is being installed. Use of closed landfill sites of 15 or closure can be used for the human settlement after ensuring that gaseous material emission has been stopped. So that can again those sites can be used for the uh, municipal corporation or the operators can use that site for different other purposes. But once they are sure of it, that the site doesn't have any other problems left to it, the benefits of reclamation, as we discussed, land becomes available. One of the most important things, we reduce the GHG emission, reduction in mostly landfill sites get the fire. We reduce that number of fire which happens at landfill sites, decline in the vector-borne diseases, real estate value of the overall area gets increased, uplifting the environmental, aesthetic, and social performance of the area and overall the society which are living around it, elimination of that foul odor, that fouly smell which comes from it, and reduction in the air pollution as well. Tertiary plastic, it's a sort of a plastic which primarily gets reclaimed from the landfill sites, and this can again, if you chemically treat it, it converts into dimethyl and another one component, which can be again used to uh, develop a new PET virgin plastic. That's the way, and if we recollect that, it reduces the weight which is being landfilled. Again, it's one of the part of the circular economy where you're using it again to generate a new virgin plastic. So this is the overall approach looks like. If you chemically treat it, chemical recovery, energy recovery can be done, and through chemical recovery, it could be heterogeneous and homogeneous. While in thermolysis, we can follow the formula for the pyrolysis, gasification, hydrogenation. IT intervention in tools. The IT has been information technology has been playing a very vital role in every sector. So as it is playing in waste management. We even use these days decision support system for tracking and managing the plastic usage, waste collection, recycling, and for the disposal of it. RFID is being installed in most of the collection bins these days. GPS, facial recognition, different apps which monitors and gives you the everyday data of the waste collection, waste processed, waste dumped at landfill site, CCTV, QR monitoring, and so on. So we do see that the sector has been powered by the information technology and it reduces the human intervention and have got us the right precision when it comes to landfilling and its closure and reclamation too. Oh, and in landfill management, the move we are discussing here with the use of DSS decision sensing system, what we talk about, what we discussed just in the last slide. Truck drivers, the point is like we through the advanced GPS GPS and feedback to a centralized touch point uh, uploading video fragments to picture a problem that they meet while performing their art. This is something one of the IT tool which enables the operator to see whether the task has been performed correctly, whether the truck driver, the collection agencies are meeting those criteria, and making sure that the waste is dumped at the landfill, not at the roadside or other in and around the city. We even talk about the online navigation system, waste truck sensors, which enables them to assess the level in which they have filled up their capacity of the truck, cloud-based decision sub-support system, and smart bin sensors. So these interface, we call it cloud-based decision support system, DSS. It provides possibility for intercommunication of all the stakeholders. So you can call it a one app where all are communicating. So app has a one cloud where the data is getting stored and data is getting processed too. Technology for managing waste, what we all have so far, we even see the interface of robotics. The robotics is primarily into sorting, pneumatic sorting, and other sort of a sorting. Artificial intelligence and neural networks, machine learning interfaces based on data collection, examples to solve problem without explicit program. It helps in autonomous self-driving and street sweeping refuse trucks are using it currently. IoT, the sensor-based system, smart waste bins are currently using the technology, and even the weighing system has this sort of a technology piece involved in them. Cloud computing enables us in real-time management, route plan, beat plan, its optimization so as to reduce the transportation time and the transportation cost. Data analytics helps us to in evaluating the census data from uh, from sorting down based on the data collection. Data analytics is primarily whatever data we have collected and how to analyze, how to find the best path to execute our overall program daily activities. What are the emerging trends? What we look for in 2022 and beyond? What we fast facts are for this cycle is, as the picture is very, very well explanatory. While you get this content, can go through and understand it. Otherwise, it will take some more time to understand. I'm happy if we can take up in the question answer round. 40% of total global plastic ends up in the environment. That we are not processing it or recycling it. 7% of the reduction of leakage if all government and industry commitments are implemented by 20. So that sort of a coverage we can have it if we go with the SOP. That 7% reduction can be bought if we uh, try to implement everything the way it has been designed. 5 lakh to be connected every day until 2040 to close the collection gap. So means that the requirement in the sector is of 5 lakh people, half a million people, uh, to to bridge the gap between the generation and the collection, then thereafter the processing. So that 40% plastic we are discussing. Uh, this is one of the case study of Piranha dump site biomining project. Which is Piranha is in one of the site in Ahmedabad. I've been personally associated with this project in past. So the point is, if you see the financial numbers, it has capex, revenue, expenditure, tipping fees, land reclamation value, right? Uh, Now you see that capex, what was being installed at site, that in one of the first case, the private operator is investing into it, and then he makes a 53 CR revenue. He spends around 64 CR. So total spent from his pocket is 74 CR, and the land reclaim, the value of that land is reclaimed as a 43 CR. So the total expenditure, what we see, is a 74 CR against the revenue was 53 CR. The tipping fees per ton was given as a 672 rupees. In that case, the tipping fees and rest of the tipping fees were standalone being given for the per ton processing of the waste. So the net viability is negative. We see the minus 6% of IRR investment return rate. Where in the other case, what we see that five there is no major changes. The capex we Andaman Municipal Corporation took an innovative way where they said the capex will be given by us. You need not to invest anything from the pocket. We will set up the plant and machinery for you. CapEx is capital expenditure. We will set up the plant and machinery for you. You need to operate it. So the expenditure still remains the same 64 CR. CapEx stays for 5 CR. And as on date, if you require any further enhancement in your capacity, that will be taken care by again by the AMC. Revenue stays the same, 53 CR. Because this revenue comes from the sale of the combustible material which has come out from the filling of the low-lying area. We supplied that subsoil which is coming from the landfill reclamation, and and the tipping fees was lower then because the capex was being supported by the AMC. So the AMC said that we will reduce the tipping fees. We will reduce it by 82 rupees per ton. So they were fine with it because tipping fees is uh, not a one-time thing. One time for a while, you invest something one time, you'll have to go to the bank and get the money, or otherwise you spend it from your equity. No businessman or no operator prefers that. And finally, the land reclaimed went to the AMC. So they paid some amount of 5 CR with the tipping fees, and the land they reclaimed was of 43 CR. So we see the IRR of 24%. So what the process it followed is what we see in 2017 project started with the 0% segregation and sorting. It reached to that milestone of 25% by year 2020. By year 2023, we expect 40% segregation and sorting, and 2026 we expect the segregation and sorting percentage to be 55%. What we these are the products which we get from the landfill recrimination site. So we already discussed that. Uh, so there are economic benefits in terms of even company made the money, even AMC was in profit. We see that IRR was positive. Social benefits, it created the job. It gives a rehabilitation for around 1 lakh people. There are environmental benefits, reduce GHG emission, overall waste, foully smell has gone, effective waste management up to an extent of 100% as well, overall methane reduction, and even we recovered the material of more than 10 lakh metric ton, which was being used in different power plants. So they definitely uh, substitute the fossil fuel, which were depending on the fossil fuel. So a landfill site, if being properly reclaimed, has multiple benefits, and we all need to keep that in mind that we just need to take a correct route. Municipal corporations has to become cooperative and very supportive for such sort of a plant. We have another case study from America. We know that America doesn't process the waste; they mostly landfill it. And in New Jersey, they have a legacy of landfill sites which were never being so called technically operated or reclaimed. Uh, and even there are remediation. Remedial cost is very high. So the remediation cost per area range from $10,000 to the 1 lakh to $100K. Uh, the remediation technology was based on the size, sort of a landfill they have, and based on that, the different remediation techniques will be suggested. Majorly, uh, it has a similar approach the way we see it, having different layers, covering it finally with the cover layer, which is a clay, compacted clay, and top layer and the vegetation layer. Remediation action, again, they didn't sort of put the trommel screen and started finding out the derivatives out of it. Their intent was to do the closure of it and bring the more available site. So they shifted one part of the waste to the other part of the waste, compacted it, closed it. So they've been able to recover uh, around a good 36 acre of land, which has a lot of value. So one existing landfill site shifted their waste to another existing landfill site, and one of the landfill site was being made available for the further usage by the local government or the local bodies. So it's not a one standard way to look at it. In India, we either close it uh, or either remediate it and reclaim the land. In the closure, we don't actually reclaim the land that cannot be used for further other purpose except for the developing the parks and nearby communities. Having said that, that can be used, after a period of maybe 25 to 30 years when everything under the landfill has been settled down. We can move to the next slide. Another case study of Japan, what we see, the Tokyo Metropolitan government is now installing and managing two-bay site disposal sites in the port of the Tokyo. These disposal sites receive incineration ash and combustible residue from the municipal solid waste in 23 ward area of the Tokyo. Sludge from the water and sewerage industrial waste after immediate treatment such as incineration and well. So we see that primarily it's a two-bay site disposal sites being defined in the port of the Tokyo, where uh, I want to request if you can zoom it. Text is very small to read for me and for everyone. Thank you. So we see the central breakwater outer landfill site number one, number two, having to look at the size. I mean, it's 115 hectare area and another one is 199 hectare area. Then the G block is a different hectare area. Central breakwater outer landfill site started operation in 1977. Part one was the soil dug from the construction site. Part two was waste from that undergone immediate treatment only. And according to volume of landfill site was which was accommodating a 54.2 million tons. New surface disposal site started up in 1998. Site. Total area is 480 hectares. Landfill area minus waste, 3119 hectares. Dead soil dug from the construction site, 161 hectares. So there we see that a lot of landfill sites, they have been able to accumulate the accumulated areas which they could draw out of the overall remediation has gone. So the overall intent for this is to reclaim the land, which can be again further used for the other community development programs and so on. And it has a control on the odor, overall environmental, air pollution, and so on. This is the data for the state-wise dump site. Uttar Pradesh has most of the dump sites with the number 609. Then Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and so on. I'm sure the participants who are coming from different states can relate to this chart. Action plan for the cities. The waste, depending, we have segregated it. The action plan in by the factor of waste generation per day. The cities which are generating from 100 to 500 and beyond it has been arranged on the left hand side, and state cities have 50 to 100 has a different sort of a plan, but is very much in concurrence to what larger city does. But the smaller city has a smaller problem to solve, and larger city is a different way to look at it. It begins again. Authorization should apply for the operation seek from the State Pollution Control Board. A proper correction of the waste should comply within 6 months. Segregation of waste to be implemented within the city. Storage of waste, as in most of the waste shall go to the MRF using the conventional bin system and other mechanized system. Transportation of waste should be done. Storage facility should be synchronized with transportation system. Strict compliances to be executed. Processing can be done using the waste to energy technology or composting on RDF. For a smaller cities, there can be another a decentralized approach or centralized approach of bringing all the waste to one plant. It could be waste to energy, biogas, or composting facility. Disposal of the waste then properly to be done and sent to be central sites. As we talk about implementation and improvement performance, we always talk about what can be solved using the technology and what to be done at our individual level. Individually, we can prevent and minimize the waste generation. While on the process side, we can recycle, we can recover energy, and we can dispose it. But the most preferred is prevention, minimization, and reuse. Another principle, one of the principles of circular economy. Improved performance we see in the infrastructure, legal structure, and institution gets less legal load on the overall system. We get the financial stability. Citizen gets engaged to it. There is a sense of social inclusion. Climate is positively impacted, and environmental too. Social benefits, health and safety gets improved. There's a knowledge creation being done. Incentive reward program to be introduced in the improved performance. Implementation and improved performance. Another thing is policy intervention. Who does what? Institutional framework being given by the central state agencies. Rules and regulation by the government becomes a part of legal framework. Environmental norms, environmental standards of the State Pollution Control Board or NGT. Policy intervention, new existing policy and their interface with the new policies and the framework. How do we improve the performance? Like doing the IEC activity and increasing the outreach, improving the stakeholder engagement. It should be action oriented, education and awareness, capacity development, getting more people there, effective way to transfer the knowledge and improving the knowledge, strengthen the partnership among the stakeholders, strengthen the ownership that one of them will get it done. Who are the stakeholders involved? There are two levels. One is external stakeholder, one is internal, which are called as under urban local bodies as stakeholder. There are official different departments which are working for solid waste management, engineer, town planners, water supply, public health, sewerage, accounting and finance. On the other side, we see that businesses house, commercial establishment, household, different industry, informal sector, NGOs, CBOs and SGS, HSGs. Fund sources. Fund primarily begins from the central state government funds. Then municipal corporation has their own funds. Now, even climate bonds are funding such sort of a program. Carbon credits, which are the post-project. Pre-project is like bank loans, as I mentioned, the grants, equity, national level grants, international grants, revenue which is coming from the solid waste, user charges, loan from the different financial institutions. But majorly in India, what we see is the execution is pre-project, central government, state government, municipal corporation funds, or the grants. And then we see the bank loan, equity loans, uh, and even post-project, it's a revenue. Uh, if you have the project, you even get the grant from the climate bonds, you get the carbon credits, sales from the whatever derivatives you are finding through this whole process. Thank you. That was the last slide. Happy to take up questions if you have any. And you can mention, you can ask questions, writing them in the chat box. Now we will, if I'll ask my colleague to share the exercise in the chat box, Miro board exercise. And I would request all of you to take active participation in it. We are here with you for whatever time you take to complete those exercise. Please feel free to ping us or unmute yourself wherever the help is needed, wherever you need some sort of a support from us. And we're happy to help you. Again, request you for the active participation from all the participants who are here. Thank you. Over to you, Surbi, for the Miro board exercise.
Well, thank you. Hi, I apologize. Well, thank you so much, Nakul, for the wonderful presentation, and I welcome you all to the Miro board now. The link has been posted in the chat box, and I'll request all of you to please redirect yourself to that link. We'll wait for another 30 seconds for people to join Miro board, and then we shall start. So the exercise you all can see in front of your screen is to mark the kind of intervention which is being adopted in your city. For example, as you can see, starting with the green box, it is reuse, disposal, recycle, energy recovery, prevention, and waste minimization. For example, in my city, I do reuse the waste, so I'll take one of the post-it and drag it in the relevant box. And if I also have disposal or recycle, I'll take another one, drag it over there. And if I have energy recovery, I'll do that for the same. So we'll request everyone to please use the Miro board and mark the interventions which are adopted in your city. Please feel free to unmute yourself in between or write your questions in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer those.
I would request again that please, all the participants
Nakul, if
get
you are
involved in
speaking,
this.
we are not able to hear you. We can just see that you are trying to speak.
Am I audible now?
I'm sorry, we still can't hear you, Nakul.
Uh, Hi everyone, am I audible?
Sorry, Nakul, we are not able to hear you. Neither you, Mohini.
Thank you, Viplab. Thank you for confirming. I would request all the participants to take part in it. Won't take much time of yours, but it will be a reflect uh, on what we discussed today and yesterday. Feel free if you have any queries. We are here to support you, help you, and to be like one of the another participant with you on this exercise.
I I'm sorry. I will kindly request either Mohini or Vaishnavi to unlock the leaderboard because I believe the participants who are posting in the boxes, we need to send that back so that the dots are visible to us. Mohini, for example, in the first box, we are not able to see any of the dot. Could you please help us out in that? Now it is visible. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope the participants are enjoying the exercise. Just to, as you guys have started, and I would like to pitch in here. We are trying to understand what's sort of a major activity happening in your city when it comes to scientific disposal and treatment of waste, which even includes habitual practice and incorporating new principles of circular economy, which has been part of, especially of our Indian ecosystem since very long back, be it reusing, disposal is in terms of scientific disposal, uh, using the landfill or engineered landfill, recycling, having a local recycling factory or units, MRF in your city, waste minimization. Uh, do we have a proper IEC activity in place? Are we, bringing our own bag while we go to uh, buy any material and any goods from the market, which like having a rule for non-using the plastic, non getting the plastic from the stores, local stores, prevention, overall stopping the ineffective waste management, treatment, and energy recovery primarily can be called treated as energy, methane being recovered from the landfill, or having an incineration unit, or having a waste to energy power plant, or bio CNG plant, and all those. I hope I've been able to give you a clear picture. You just need to arrange that what all is happening in your city related to all these six activity of waste management, disposal, and scientific treatment.
Hi everyone. We will spend another 30 seconds on this exercise and then move on to the next one. Mohini, just to bring to your kind attention, there's another participant, Mr. Khan, who is not able to open the link. Could you please help it here? Thanks.
Moini, he has left the meeting, I guess. Mrinmoy has left the meeting, yeah.
If everyone has completed working on this exercise, I would request everyone to pay their attention on the next board I am just scrolling in. And I hope the issue is being resolved for everyone so that everyone can work together on the exercises shown on the Miro board. In this exercise, what you all need to do is to first of all write the city name over here, like participant has done for Vijayawada and Bangalore. I'll request the other participants to also write the city names, and then add below. You can see some post-its over here, which are represented in yellow color. All you need to do is to grab a post-it and post it on the relevant step which you feel is being followed when we are initiating a landfill remediation. I'll also request everyone to please follow it step by step and then proceed further. For example, I'll put one post-it on the step one. As you all might be able to see, I have posted on in the step one for Vijayawada. I'll just move it to the last, to the third last column and just write Knuckles' name over here. As requested, please move it step by step and then we can discuss it. Should you have any questions or is there anything you would like to clarify from us, please let us know. Either unmute yourself or post your question in the chat box. Thank you.
I hope you all have been able to understand the exercise. If you have not been able to understand it, so we can again explain it. Just post it that you wanted to understand again. We're happy to help you there. But it looks the way you guys are picking up the options, you have understood it. Let us know wherever we can pitch in and make it understand to you.
You all might recall the this exercise we have already discussed in the PPT, the steps which are required for the landfill remediation.
For the better engagement, I still see that three of you are working really, you know, have been putting your efforts to make it to complete the exercise. These are the approaches to towards the landfill remediation, and it has steps to be taken one by one, like reaching to the lowest ground level, C&D waste to be sent to processing facility, respective machinery and tools deployment, regular monitoring, land recovered by the remediation process, and so on. Hi, participants. I hope you all of you are enjoying it. And I see all of you have already filled the details. Mohini, I believe participants have filled up the have completed the exercise. So shall we go it one by one and which Survi, I'll explain the process and you can keep adding the right boxes. The right process in the boxes. Uh,
Yes.
So let's take up the first example of the city Bangalore. The representative coming from the Bangalore, and that's the same example goes uh, for the rest of the cities as well. To begin with, our first step would be quantity of the waste to be remediated on the basis of area and storage. So what do we mean by this is we have a landfill site and it's easily accessible that what is the area it has, though we cannot assess the depth of landfill till the time if we have the earlier drawings available that can even be done, but otherwise it can be done on the basis of the experience or the past employees which were there and who knows the approximate depth. So based on length, breadth, and depth, and the current height, we can assess the overall waste which is being dumped in that particular landfill. So LB into H, we'll don't use the formula as a cuboid, but we'll use it as a for to calculate the volume of a trapezoid. So landfills are mostly a trapezoidal body. We actual formula which we use is the formula to calculate the volume of press. So that is the way we calculate the quantity of the waste which is being dumped in the dumped in the landfill. Now the second point, what we will do is we'll we'll try to reach to the lowest ground level. There could be two ways landfill might have been made. Very good question, Viplav. Density for the legacy waste to be considered as zero point 0.9 or 1, because what we see the moisture in this span of the operations of 25 to 30 years would have would have would have reduced significantly by the multiple process of slowly passing it through the leachate collection pipes, by the evaporation, regular compression, the pressure which is being put up by the top layer waste on it. So we usually consider the density from zero point 0.9 to 1. I hope I've answered your question. Now the third step would be we need to do the garbage layer raking. We need to understand that how the garbage layer has been arranged. While we look at uh, there might not be that scientific approach towards it while developing the landfill or filling up the landfill. So we need to understand how the way it has been filled up. Is it being layer by layer and then compacted layer by layer, compacted as well as having a covering layer? So that is something we need to evaluate. As a fourth step, we need to screen the coarse material and the garbage using the trommel screen. Fifth, through this, we start reclaiming the land, right? We clear that one area cell by cell, then we again clear one area cell by cell. So it's a repeated process. So whatever C&D waste, construction demolition waste comes out of this process goes to the C&D processing facility of the city if we have. Otherwise, this can again be used for the filling of the low-lying areas. Fifth, uh, seventh step would be uh, recovered soil. The soil which is coming along with the C&D waste can again be used to fill up low-lying areas or refilling the grounds, but it is being advised not to refill the agriculture lands. Eighth step, we send this derivatives LDP, HDP, PET, cloth which is coming out of the screening process, which is called the useful waste or recyclable waste, which has a direct selling value in the market, can be sent to different furnaces after shredding it and giving it a uniform size. And for doing this, we need to deploy respective plant and machinery to do that too. And this requires a regular monitoring process. I hope the process is clear to everyone. If any doubt, please post your question in the chat box. Yeah, Viplav, you assumed the right density and it is to be considered as one. I just saw your response on the chat box. Just another one more point. If the landfill, the remediation which we are doing is, if it's of just less than 5 years, then it is advised to consider the density as zero point 0.9 or 0.95. It depends primarily on the life of landfill, which we are treating. Survey, over to you. Please explain the next exercise and take this forward.
So next exercise is the extension of the previous exercise where you all have arranged the step-by-step procedure or the approach for the landfill remediation. And we have chosen the 4 steps for which now you'll be mapping the criteria that needs to be considered for each step. Example for the quantity of waste to be remediated at the surface, you need to map the right criteria that is to be considered. Like, yeah, the one person has already done it, like the calculate volume of waste first. And for each of the approach, there are 3 criteria you need to map.
I hope everyone has understood the exercise and I can see from the speed the way you guys are filling up the boxes. And very thankful to all of you for taking active participation.
I hope the exercise everyone has understood what needs to be done. These are the steps which we had taken while approaching the landfill remediation. Now, this particular steps, what are the factors which account for when it comes to quantity of the waste to be remediated on the basis of area and surveys? So we all need to put the related factor with the step of approach towards landfill remediation. Sorry.
I believe all the participants have already posted their answers. Mrinmoy, are you still working on it? Please confirm if I can take you through the right answers. Moini, do you have any?
Yes, sir. I started just now. I started. I completed the first one, and then
Okay. You should wait for another 5 minutes.
Ma'am, what to do in second stage? Can you please tell me? Means, as you said that in the fifth column there is it is elaborated. Means, can you please tell actually what to input here in second stage from my side?
Mrinmoy, what you really need to do is you just need to define the approach to be taken for the landfill remediation process. The options has been given. You need to arrange them in order that you will do one by one. If you are the site in charge, what step you will take first, what you will take second, what will you take third. In my opinion, there you might even see there are some overlaps that is justified, but you can arrange them all the overlapping steps one by one, as in it could be one above the another or one below the another. That should not be a problem. I
Okay.
hope it is understood now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Sure, sure.
Hello, ma'am. Actually, when I'm dragging those options to my city, it's not taking in that column. Yeah.
Mohini, I believe it is the same problem which was happening in board one. So, Mr. Khan, I would request you to please start posting in the Vijayawada column, or you can probably just change the city name from Vijayawada to Jamshedpur and work on that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
In the meantime, does the other participant have any question? We are happy to take up related to the subject. Any of one of you? Viplav, Ankush, I can see one of the name Enviro GMC, Kalyan, or Prakash, Subir, Suprita. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask directly, unmute yourself, or put it in the chat box.
Sir, kindly tell me, please, what is garbage layer ranking? Hello.
Yeah, I did not get the question. What do you mean by garbage layer raking?
It is
What do you want to
there.
ask?
Actually, it is in option garbage layer ranking.
Yeah,
So
raking. It's not ranking, it's raking.
yeah, means I am asking about this. What is racking actually? Garbage layer racking.
Isn't like, labeling, you need to understand what sort of layers has been arranged in the existing landfill and then making them,
Okay.
there could be some undulations to clear them out, making it uniform, giving it a uniform shape, and then taking up the further process.
Thank you.
Mohini, shall we go ahead and what?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, definitely. As others are even waiting, so the interest of everyone's time, the correct answers has been mentioned in one of the columns, as we see. So now we should go ahead. The one who is operating the Miro board, can you take it to me to the exercise third? Can we go to the exercise third as the shared screen is of exercise two where Minmay is working? Thank you, Surbi. So now as we the exercise was about to approach towards landfill remediation, the criteria, and we need to uh, find out the factors on which this procedure depends on. So the first criteria was quantity of the waste to be remediated on the basis of areas and surveys. So what are the factors it depends on? As we discussed, it primarily, very firstly, depends on the volume of the waste which is there in the landfill. Second, what we really need to do in terms of the procedure once we have the area, we should get the contouring done of the area, topographical survey. That's what it means. The third step should be to understand the nature of the waste it has in different layers. How it can be done is we can try to collect sample data from the different layers from any of the side of the landfill to conduct a geotechnical survey. At times, this even involves a geotechnical survey as a soil investigation if we are supposed to do a small civil construction activities to set up the remediation tools and plans. I'll move to the second criteria, which was site preparation.
Yeah, Mohini, I'll do
Will
that.
be, shall I start now? Can you do it for the first one? The first would be calculate volume of the waste, contouring of area, conduct geotechnical surveys.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Surbi and Lavanya. Now, the second site preparation, ensure the site services, the basic services it requires, power connection, water and drainage. Second is area allocated for the machinery, specifically define those area where the machines to be installed. And the third is install the weighbridge to so as the operator can know what is the tonnage of the waste has been processed. So and accordingly they will bill it. And for through this we will get to know what is the total ton of the waste was there in the landfill. The third criteria, raking of garbage layers, remove, pull out the rags. They can remove the plastic, visible plastic, remove the rubber and textile from it. The final criteria, post screening, we use stone, bricks, and ceramics are sent to be filling the low-lying area. As I mentioned, stone, bricks, ceramics, the construction demolition waste can be used to filling up the low-lying area. Send the CND waste, the waste processing site, the larger waste to CND processing site to be sent to any local nearby CND waste processing facility, and sell the recyclables, plastic, glass, metal, or use them to generate energy, electricity, or send them to the local furnaces. Thank you, Surbi and Lavanya, for arranging the right answers in the order. And I hope it is being well understood by all the participants. If still anybody has a doubt, please feel free to share your views or your question.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi Prakash.
Hi. Do we need to weigh the segregated waste too?
See, segregated waste is to be definitely weighed, as that is something which will give you the through which you will bill it to whomsoever you are giving it, right? Need not to do it at site. Maybe that if that waste is, let's suppose, 50 kg, so that those
Yeah.
larger weighbridges might not be calibrated to that extent that they give you the accurate measurement for 50 kg. Their calibrations are mostly done at the quintal level, that minimum waste to be there of minimum weight to be there of 100 kg. So that is advisable. You if it's recyclable, say plastic, rubber, any textile, cardboard, wood, that can be weighed if you have a rightly calibrated weighbridge at site, or if not, then can be weighed outside. But आप बेचेंगे, if you want to sell it, then you need to know the weight of it, right?
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. One more question. Is raking of waste to be done according to their density or weight?
आपने जैसा पूछा, the raking of the I'll explain that in Hindi and then in English. रेकिंग करने के लिए हमें डेंसिटी की बहुत आवश्यकता नहीं होगी, क्योंकि ये रेकिंग जो की जाती है, जो हमारा पहला अनुमान होता है आंखों से देख के, उसके बेसिस पे की जाती है। और इसके लिए दूसरा जो हमारे पास बेंचमार्क होता है, वो जियो टेक्निकल जो टेस्टिंग हम करते हैं वेस्ट की, उससे की जा सकती है। डेंसिटी बहुत लार्जर रोल प्ले नहीं करती है, बट पार्टिकल साइज डेफिनेटली लार्जर रोल प्ले करता है। आप रेकिंग करते में वही मटेरियल निकाल पाएंगे जो साइज में थोड़ा बड़ा होगा।
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say here is the raking is primarily based on the particle sizing and what you get to see from the virtue of your eyes, and as well as depending on the geotechnical report or the waste characterization report if those tests has been conducted.